everybody, this is Jeff Bernard with Solve Systems, and today we're going to learn how to build an IoT dashboard with our device being the International Space Station, which is very appropriate because I'm in Houston, Texas, and so is Mission Control. So I have a pretty unique link with it. All that being said, what we're going to do is take the real-time data from the ISS and we're going to make some API calls to pull that data and display it back on a dashboard in Power Apps. So let's take a look at the finished product before we start. So here you can see this is the ID number for the satellite. It's not a satellite, it's the ISS, but they're tracking it by this ID number. So that's pretty sweet. Altitude, footprint, velocity, that's how fast it's going. It's incredibly fast, obviously. And the Earth coordinates, lat long, the solar coordinates, timestamp, and then day num, not sure what that is. So all of these KPIs are being pushed to a server from the ISS, and we're calling them in real time. That's pretty sweet. So let's figure out how to do it right now. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is open up the tablet layout in Power Apps, and that'll generate a brand new fresh app for us. We're going to pull out some little theme stuff and make it kind of cool and functional. So we went to theme and added a blue theme. That's okay. And then we'll add a scrollable screen just to make sure it has the right look that we're wanting. So that looks okay. We'll give it a name. ISS dashboard. That works. And then we're going to go into, we're going to add a timer. So the reason why we're going to add a timer is that's going to do all the calling of Flow to pull our data back into here. So let's get a timer put on the screen. There we go. We have a timer. And then we're going to go through a few settings on the timer. We'll take this down from 60,000. I believe that's like a minute or so, to 1,000. That's a few seconds, I believe. And then we're going to toggle on repeat, and then we're going to hit auto start. We're going to take off auto pause, and we're going to keep it visible just to make it easy on ourselves. Okay, so now that we have that done, we're going to go into Power Automate. We already have one done, but I'm going to quickly recreate another one just to show how quickly this is and how easy it is. So we're going to start up a brand new button. We're going to hit Power Apps button. We're going to use this template. Okay, the next step, what we're going to do is we're going to go to the Where the ISS at page. Okay, this is provided in the description below, so make sure that you just read quickly through the documentation. This again assumes that you have an understanding of API calls and the JSON response. So we have several different things we can choose from in here, but what we're going to do is focus on this call, and I'll provide the link to this specific JSON response call in the description as well, so that you can get the specific call that we're talking about in this video. So all I did was simply copy this URL, okay? So now that we have that copied, we're going to quickly look at the response, okay? So when this API call calls the server, it's going to pull back JSON response with some information. This has the ISS, this has the altitude, the latitude, longitude, all of the things that we saw that we're updating on the finished product, but this is in the browser. And if you want to check the values that change, you could simply hit refresh a few times. And as you can see, those numbers are changing in the browser. This API allows you to call every 1 second, so it's a really good use case to show what we're trying to do. We're going to navigate back to Power Automate, and the next step, we're going to add HTTP. Okay? So this is going to be a GET request, and then we're going to enter our URL. Copy paste it, you'll be good to go. From here, we're going to add parse JSON. So we add the parse JSON, and then we're going to click into content in parse JSON and add body. Click generate from sample. We will navigate back to the API call page where it has this beautiful formed response. We're going to copy it, then we're going to paste it and insert sample JSON payload. From there, we're going to get response. Okay, and then what this is going to do here is we're going to have all kind of information that we can put in the body of this. Make sure that you pull the body of the parse JSON response. Great, that's good. Now we're going to click add more, generate from sample, and copy and paste the JSON response in this part again. And then we're going to click save. Now let's test it before we navigate back to Power Apps to make sure there was no issue. Click I'll perform the trigger action. Click save. Click run flow. And our flow ran successfully. And as you can see, in the response body, we get all our parameters that's pulling back from the server that the ISS is spitting out. So I want to back up for a second and talk about this and why this is important. If we think about it through the context of IoT devices, the response we get in a real-time environment is JSON response. This is not talking about historical databases and logging of data, historians and stuff like that. This is talking about strictly a real-time dashboard for IoT devices. So when you're making your IoT device selection, ensure that there is a web API, a REST API on the back end so that you can pull this JSON response and then in turn pull it into Flow and then back to Power Apps to display to your end users. So now that we have that squared away and a decent understanding of that, we're going to go back to Power Apps. Okay, so within Power Apps, you'll see we have Power Apps button 1. That's the one we're already using in our other version of our app. And then Power Apps button 2. So from here, we have the timer clicked. We'll click the drop down up here. And on timer start, we will add, we'll just click Power Apps button 2. Okay, now that that's added, we're going to go in front of that and do clear, collect, ISS data, Power Apps. Okay, and you'll see that creates a clear collect. So anything that it's pulling in from Flow in this response, we'll send it to the collection and we'll show that in a second. So we're going to click off of this. We're going to test it now. We'll hit start. You should see the ants race across the screen. Okay, and then we're going to check our collection. As you see, all the columns in our response, in this response, are pulled into Power Apps. It's awesome, isn't it? I mean, that's the stuff we like dream about, you know, is having good, successful apps like this. So from here, we can add a few different things. We can add, let's add our labels now. So we have our label. So we have our label here, and what we're going to do in the text, or just pick your drop down, make sure you have text selected for your label, and we're going to add, let's start with altitude. So we're going to have alt, and we'll make that our text label. So that'll just let us know that our altitude is there. And then under it, we're going to add in the value from our collection. So from here, it's first. So it's going to pull in the first row of that data source, and the data source is ISS data. Remember, in the collection, we made that clear collect as ISS data. And then we will go ISS data and close everything off, then put period, and then you'll see all of the columns right here, okay? So you'll add, say, we'll go name, or this was altitude, so we'll add altitude, of course. Okay, and so your value pops up. We'll copy, paste that, and that's going to be our next row. So from here, we can type in we'll type lat because it's supposed to be lat long. Latitude. Boom. There it is. And we'll keep repeating this all the way through. There we go. So as we'll play this again, and as we are calling that flow, you'll see these values are going to change. That's pretty sweet. So the point I'm trying to get across is this is how flow integrates with Power Apps, calling data that is on a web API for your IoT devices. I thought this was pretty cool, and I hope that you think the same. And if you have any questions, or you need to understand something in a better way, or you have any suggestions, let me know in the comment section. Also, subscribe and like this and share it with people that are developing Power Apps so you can help me out. I appreciate it. Thanks for your time. Look forward to seeing you soon. Peace.